Well, hello everyone. Thanks for inviting me to talk with you here at Raise the Bar, and I want to share something with you called the slight edge principle. But before I do that, I just want to say how much I appreciate you guys. You guys are truly oftentimes the unsung heroes of Grace Church. Nobody appreciates or even realizes all that you do, but you affect literally thousands of people's lives all day and all the time, and I am just grateful for you and appreciate you, and you are so much a part of what makes Grace Grace, and so much a part of our ability to reach thousands and thousands of people with the good news of Jesus. So thank you for doing that. Thanks for your hearts, your hard work, your unsung efforts, and I sincerely want you to know how proud I am of you and how much I love you and appreciate you. The guys asked me to share a principle with you called the slight edge principle, and the slight edge principle is a principle that I picked up out of a book called The Slight Edge by the author Jeff Olson, and encourage you to read that book. It's a fantastic book. You'll get a lot out of it. It's a business book. So you'll have to translate the principles kind of out of business into ministry. So he's going to talk a lot about profits and earning and things like that, where we're more concerned with reaching people and their souls. But it's still a fantastic principle, and one that I want to show you real quick. So here's the slight edge principle in a nutshell. Let me scribble up here on the board for you. He asks a question in the book with the slight edge. He says, What's the difference between people who excel at what they do and people who are kind of normal or fail at what they do? And so he uses this little graph. He would say that this is, the average person here, and he says, what is this difference? He says 95% of people either live kind of normally, or on the bottom half of that would fail. They might fail at a project, they might fail at an effort, they may just be kind of normal and not excel in what they're doing. And then he asks the question he says 5% of people succeed with it. All right, now remember I told you we had to translate this into ministry efforts. So let's just put the numbers this way. 96% of all churches in North America are either plateaued or in decline. Only 4% of churches are growing. So the question becomes, what's the difference between those 4%? What's going on that's different? If you think about people who are doing well financially, 95% of folks kind of get by, live paycheck to paycheck. 5% do better. People who get good grades, 95% may get C's, D's, maybe a B or two. 5% are the A+. And so he's asking, he says, what's the difference in these two things? What's the difference between someone who kind of functions normally and someone who excels? And this difference he would call the slight edge. And here's the slight edge principle. His concept or his theory is that becoming a person who excels at something, a person who's excellent at the things that they do, as opposed to a person or an organization that's kind of normal in the things that they do, is not made because of a quantum leap. Excellence is found in small decisions that are made along the way. And over time, those decisions compound. They compound for the good, or they compound for the negative. It's the small decisions, the everyday decisions, that is the slight edge. And so our life is kind of the cumulative effect of a bunch of small decisions over a period of time. So he uses this example. He says, if you took $2 a day, just $2 a day, what you decided to do with that $2 a day over time would revolutionize your life, right? So now, remember, he's going to talk about money and stuff like that a lot in his book. So we have to translate it over to ministry, but let's use this example. $2 a day over time. So if I went out today and I spent $2 for a cup of coffee at Dunkin' Donuts, does that decision affect my life today? And the answer is no, right? $2 today, cleaning out my ashtray today, is not going to affect my life today. Now, if I took that same $2 and I put it in a savings account, is that $2 in a savings account going to affect my life today? And the answer is what? Yeah, it's no, right? $2 of savings means nothing. $2 on coffee means nothing. That slight decision has no immediate ramification on my life. But if you take that decision and you make the same decision over time, what happens? If I put $2 a day into a savings account for 1,000 days, is that a significant chunk of money? Now all of a sudden I got $2,000, right? On the other hand, if I bought Dunkin' Donuts coffee every day for 1,000 days, all of a sudden I just spent $2,000 on coffee. Now if you ask me today, can you put $2,000 in a savings account? I might say, well, no, that's a lot of money. Or if you ask me today, would you go spend $2,000 on coffee today? And I would say, well, that's ridiculous. I'd never spend $2,000 on coffee. But that same decision over time, compounded, makes a big difference. And it's the difference between people who are excellent at what they do or people who are kind of normal or with the kind of the rest of everyone else. Another example that he uses in the book is eating, right? So he would say, if I go out today and get a hamburger, is that going to kill me? Right? Of course, it's not going to kill me today if I get a hamburger, right? If I go out today and get a salad instead of a hamburger, is that going to make me healthy? Well, of course not, right? A salad today isn't going to make me healthy. Compound those decisions for 365 days. If I eat nothing but a hamburger for 1 year, or I eat nothing but salad for 1 year, where do I wind up? I wind up at very different places with my health because that decision compounded over time has huge ramifications. Now this next part is what really fascinated me when I read the book. He said this. He said the reason that we don't make these small decisions is because they're insignificant. It's just as easy to spend $2 on coffee as it is to put $2 in a savings account. In the moment, that is an easy decision. It's just as easy to do it as it is not to do it. And because it's an easy decision, we think of it then as a insignificant decision because it doesn't really matter. But in reality, that same decision compounded over time has huge ramifications then for our life. And this is the same idea, guys. If you pull that into ministry, or you pull that into trying to do a better job, or you pull that into the concept of excellence, all of a sudden slight edge decisions have huge ramifications. One of the ways that I pulled this into my life was with eating. So I went to the doctor a few months ago, and the doctor did all the blood work and stuff, and he said, Jeff, he said, you're healthy. He goes, you're borderline on like your cholesterol and a couple things like this. And he said, listen, he goes, if you would lose 25 pounds, all of your health concerns would go away if you lose 25 pounds. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna lose weight. If I can eradicate my health concerns for over 25 pounds, I'm going to do that. I've lost 15 of the 25 pounds so far by simply not eating, right? So I just changed my eating habits. I'm not really even exercising and stuff like that yet. I just changed my eating habits. And by changing my eating habits, the weight started to come off. Now, this is what I found. To change my eating habits, I have to make slight edge decisions. So for instance, I walked into the Easter dinner at my brother's house. And there was all the food there. There was vegetables and ham, all this stuff that's relatively healthy. And then there was pie, and it was a pecan pie, right? Was the pie there? So I ate dinner, and I had the vegetables and the ham, and I even had like some chips and stuff that wasn't as good for me. And after dinner, I thought to myself, oh man, maybe I'll have a piece of that pecan pie. Now here's the thing. This is what's crazy. I don't even like pecan pie that much, right? It was just there. It was available to it. And I'm standing in front of the pecan pie, about ready to eat a piece of pie that I actually don't like that much. And I needed to make a slight edge decision. Pecan pie is one of the most fattening kinds of pie you can have. I'm looking at it. I'm thinking about eating it because it's in front of me. I don't really like it that much. And all I needed to do was make about a 6-second decision to walk away from that piece of pie, right? So if the pie was kind of here on the counter, I looked at it. I don't really want it. It's just there. Normally, I would have picked it up and eaten it. By doing this, by looking at it and saying, nah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All of a sudden, I'm 15 feet away from the pie. Guess what I'm not thinking about anymore? I'm not thinking about the piece of pie. And guess how many calories I didn't put into my body? And by not putting those many calories into my body, I started to lose weight. See, I've been losing weight that way. By a 6-second decision over something I don't really like that much anyways, all of a sudden, I look like I've been on like this massive diet. I've not been on a big diet. I just quit eating, right? This is the slight edge principle. I've done this with my education. I just finished my doctorate. And people have asked me, when did you find time to go get your doctorate? And the answer is never. I never had like a spare 4 years of my life to go to school, right? How did I do it? I just took a class every semester. I just kept plugging away, and over time, it compounded into this big degree. Right? So this is the slight edge principle, and you can see how it works in your life. It's not this, I'm going to change my life tomorrow. It's I'm going to make a different set of decisions, and over time, this gap is going to open up, and I'm going to wind up here instead of here. Now, when you think about this in the ministry world, this applies all over the place, okay? So, for instance, if you, let's say that you work on the tech side of things, you run lights or sound, or you help to build sets and these kind of things, help to run video. Ask yourself the question, if I spent a little bit of time investing in what I volunteer to do, how much better could I be at it? Okay, so for instance, if you read 15 minutes of blogs on lighting techniques, for instance, or sound techniques, and you did that once a week for 50 weeks in a row, see, all of a sudden, it's like you went to a lighting seminar, but you just did it on your iPad while you were killing time, or on your phone while you were waiting in line. See, if you're a musician, maybe, and you got on Spotify and you listened to different artists do the same songs, and you got a different drum riff or a different lick on a guitar, and you just got ideas, and every song that you were going to do that weekend, you listened to 3 other artists do it and got some ideas about how to play around with it. How much over time would that alter the quality of your musicianship, right? Think about just all of us. Think about if I got someplace 10 minutes early, 10 minutes, that's it. How much would that alter the way that I was prepared to serve or to function? If I saved 10 minutes later, I just added 10 minutes to the end of my time. How much could I pitch in and alleviate burdens off of people, other volunteers, just because I pushed it a little bit, right? It's not these big leaps. We really misunderstand it. It's these little steps that it takes that causes us to be different. When you think about volunteering, for instance, it takes a little bit of investment sometimes to alleviate your frustration. I'll give you an example. I'm a neat freak, and I walked into our offices a few weeks ago, and the snow had just melted, and under the snow is like the trash, that accumulates under the snow, and it was laying in the yard. And so I'm walking into our offices, I'm looking, and there's trash in the yard, and it frustrates me. I'm looking, saying, well, the yard looks terrible. The place looks trashy. And then all of a sudden that frustration starts to feed a bad attitude. Well, who threw that trash in here anyways? Why didn't somebody get out and pick this up already? And all of a sudden, in a 30-second walk from my car to the door, I'm frustrated, angry, disappointed, and embarrassed about how the place looks. Now catch this. I took 15 seconds of my own time, walked over, picked up the trash, walked into the office, and put it in the trash can. Done. A 15-second investment alleviated me being frustrated for the whole morning. You think about that with volunteering, guys. This one little thing that you struggle with to learn, taking 10 minutes and mastering that little thing, the one little cue that maybe you miss here and there, taking 5 minutes and just drilling down on that little cue. The one little need that you see that needs to be filled, saying, you know what, instead of going home and saying, nobody ever cares about this. Well, if you cared about it for 3 minutes, you may alleviate all that, see? And that's the slight edge. I make a little bit of investment. It compounds over time. By the way, it spreads to other people. So we all are making a little bit of an investment, and we wind up getting ahead. Now, I call these just the $2 investments. $2 investments. And the $2 investments over time make a huge difference. Grace, you guys are amazing. And your skills, your ability, your heart. People walk in the Grace Church and they are blown away by our creativity, our musicianship. They can't believe that, we don't pay everybody, that it's volunteers doing all this. And I would look, and another pastor might look at me and say, how did you get all that to happen? And I would say, well, we made $2 investments. See? We just worked at it. It's 15 years later, and we worked at it. We kept raising our standards of excellence just a little bit. Volunteers kept getting better and better and better. The people who were on staff kept learning. And over time, you have this big gap where grace is growing and reaching people. And it looks like we reinvented the wheel. It looks like we're the smartest people on the planet. When in reality, all we did was learn a little bit. This also applies to us spiritually. One of the examples he uses in the book is that if you read 10 pages of a self-improvement a day, by the end of the year, you would have read thousands of pages, right? 3,650 pages of self-improvement. Would that make you a better person? And I remember when I first read that in the book, I thought to myself, well, that's the Bible. That's the Bible. If I read 10 pages or so of the Bible, I would more than read the Bible through every year. Now, we look at the Bible and say it's overwhelming, but when you break it into $2 investments, it's not overwhelming at all. And you play that out over time, all of a sudden, I'm growing, I'm enriched, I'm stronger in the Lord, I'm more motivated, I'm understanding the ministry I'm doing more, because I made the $2 investment, I practiced the slight edge principle. So this is the idea. thinking and looking and saying, hey, when a guest comes to Grace, what's the $2 investment that I can take their experience from good to excellent with? When I am up to bat at Grace, I'm playing or I'm on the lights or sound or building set, whatever your role is, what's the $2 investment, the slight edge investment that I can make to go from good to excellent? When I'm working with my teammates, how can I make a $2 investment to be a better teammate? When I'm leading other people, how can I make a $2 investment to lead them in a better way? And just thinking this principle through, realizing I don't need to make these big life-changing decisions. I need to make these small life-changing decisions, and over time, they take me to a better place. So that's it, guys. And I hope this helps you. I think it will, and it's a great mindset. And like I said, I appreciate you so beyond words. I appreciate you. And I'm so grateful for all that you do, for all the ways that you serve. I know that you do it because you love Jesus and you want to affect people. And I think God honors that in huge ways. And I am humbled and proud to serve with you.